We built our life on trust, on shared dreams. And now you tell me it was nothing but a mistake. His eyes, filled with unshed tears, bore into hers as the living room seemed to shrink around them. Elena's silence spoke louder than any words could. The trust that had been the cornerstone of their marriage was now shattered beyond repair. Unable to meet his gaze, Elena mumbled, "I feel divided, Derek. I wanted freedom, to be someone else." The admission cut through him like a knife, leaving him numb yet seething with anger and sorrow. Welcome to DCM Reddit, where stories of cheating wives are exposed. Let me know what time it is and where you are in the world. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. Now let's follow the story. Derek Martin, a 40-year-old architect turned entrepreneur, had built his life on a foundation of creativity and perseverance. In the upscale suburb of Northfield, his firm, Martin Structural Design, was renowned for its innovative, earthquake-resistant bridges and buildings that redefined skylines. At home, Derek's world appeared picture-perfect. He shared a stylish, modern residence with his wife, Elena Martin, a 38-year-old creative director whose luminous smile once lit up every room, and their stepdaughter, Tiana, a bright 17-year-old with dreams too big for the small town they called home. Every Sunday morning, the family gathered around a sunlit breakfast table, sharing laughter and plans for the future. Derek took pride not only in his professional accomplishments but in the loving bonds he had forged within his family. Yet beneath the glossy veneer of domestic bliss, subtle fissures were appearing. Elena's once constant warmth had grown distant, her laughter now seemed rehearsed, and her eyes, once full of promise, occasionally flickered with secret sadness. Tiana, who had come to see Derek as her steadfast guardian after her mother's divorce years before, sensed the shifting tides, though she could not yet name the change. Derek, a man who valued precision and clarity in every design he created, began to feel that something fundamental was off. Late at night, as he pored over blueprints in his private study lined with accolades and framed memories, a quiet unease gnawed at him. He wondered if the trust he had painstakingly built was beginning to crack. He couldn't tell if it was merely stress or if the heart of his home was on the verge of shattering. One crisp autumn evening, Elena announced that her agency would host a celebratory gala for a marquee client, a night that promised glamour, accolades, and the warmth of professional camaraderie. Though Derek preferred a quiet night reviewing his designs, he agreed to accompany her, determined to support the woman he had once adored. At the elegant venue, a grand hall bedecked with shimmering chandeliers and murmurs of sophisticated conversation, Elena was stunning in a midnight blue gown that accentuated her graceful form. Yet even amid the bright lights and the lively chatter, Derek couldn't ignore the disquiet in his heart. Throughout the evening, as he mingled with guests in polite conversation, Derek's eyes were drawn to a man who seemed to command attention, Victor Cole, a suave senior account executive from Elena's agency with a charm that could rival any leading man. Every time Elena's gaze inadvertently strayed toward Victor, her smile lingering a fraction too long, her hand brushing his arm in what seemed like a casual greeting, Derek felt a tightening in his chest. Though Elena offered him reassurances later, whispering affectionate words as they left the gala, Derek's mind replayed the images long after the night ended. As they drove home beneath a canopy of starlight, silence hung between them. Elena chattered lightly about the success of the evening, but Derek's thoughts were adrift, haunted by the suspicion that something in his carefully constructed world was no longer as it seemed. In the weeks that followed, the warm ambience of the Martin household grew colder. Elena's behavior became increasingly secretive, long phone calls in hushed tones, unexplained absences from family dinners, and furtive glances at her phone when she thought no one was watching. Tiana, once effervescent and open, grew quiet and withdrawn, her youthful optimism clouded by a sense of foreboding. Unable to ignore the mounting evidence of change, Derek's instincts urged him to seek the truth. With a heavy heart, he discreetly hired a private investigator, a decision that tore at him but promised clarity. Over several tense weeks, the investigator compiled a dossier that shattered the illusion of their perfect life, photographs of Elena sharing intimate moments with Victor Cole at late-night rendezvous, text messages brimming with coded affection, and bank statements revealing lavish expenditures on extravagant dinners and weekend escapes. One stormy night, as rain drummed against the windows of his home office, Derek sat alone among the trophies and blueprints that testified to his success. With trembling hands, he reviewed the damning evidence. The betrayal was not only personal, it threatened the very legacy of his company. Victor Cole wasn't merely a charming colleague, he was part of a scheme to siphon off proprietary designs from Martin Structural Design. The realization was a blow that struck him with the force of an earthquake, shaking the very ground on which he had built his dreams. Determined to confront the painful truth, Derek arranged a meeting that very night. In the quiet solitude of the living room, with rain cascading down the windows, he found Elena seated on the plush sofa, her eyes fixed on the flickering light of a table lamp. His voice, though controlled, wavered with sorrow as he said, "Elena, we need to talk. I know about Victor, and everything else." For a long, agonizing moment, Elena's face fell into a mask of shock and regret before hardening into a look of resigned defiance. "Derek," she began, her voice barely a whisper, "I never intended to hurt you. What started as a simple friendship with Victor grew into something. I lost control. I'm sorry. Sorry." Derek's voice broke as he repeated the word, each syllable echoing like a hammer on his heart. "We built our life on trust, on shared dreams. And now you tell me it was nothing but a mistake." His eyes, filled with unshed tears, bore into hers as the living room seemed to shrink around them. Elena's silence spoke louder than any words could, the trust that had been the cornerstone of their marriage was now shattered beyond repair. Unable to meet his gaze, Elena mumbled, "I feel divided, Derek. I wanted freedom, to be someone else." The admission cut through him like a knife, leaving him numb yet seething with anger and sorrow. In the days that followed, the tension within the Martin household grew unbearable. Elena's once luminous presence now exuded a cold determination. One fateful night, as thunder rumbled in the distance and the wind howled through the trees, she delivered an ultimatum. "Derek, I can't live a lie any longer. I want to embrace the life I've discovered, with Victor, fully and without reservations. If you can't accept that, then perhaps we have no future together." Derek's heart pounded in his chest as he struggled to comprehend her words. "You're telling me that everything we've built, our home, our family, can be discarded like yesterday's plans?" he demanded, his voice laden with both anguish and fury. Elena's eyes shone with a mix of defiance and sorrow as she replied, "I deserve to be free, Derek. I can't keep sacrificing my happiness for a role that no longer fits me." In that charged moment, the unthinkable became undeniable, the bond that had once united them was irrevocably fractured. Derek's soul ached at the thought of a future without Elena, yet he knew that clinging to a relationship built on betrayal would only destroy him. The night passed in excruciating silence, each tick of the clock a reminder that their shared dreams were dissolving before his eyes. Unable to withstand the relentless pain, Derek retreated into his work. Late nights in his state-of-the-art studio, surrounded by blueprints and awards, became his refuge. Each carefully rendered line on paper was an attempt to rebuild the fragments of his shattered heart. Though the once familiar rhythms of family life had been disrupted by Elena's betrayal, Derek poured his sorrow and determination into a new, revolutionary bridge design, a project that symbolized resilience in the face of devastation. Meanwhile, Elena sought solace in the allure of newfound freedom. She attended glamorous parties, formed alliances with influential figures in her agency, and immersed herself in a world where the constraints of her old life no longer applied. Yet with every fleeting moment of pleasure, an undercurrent of guilt and regret persisted. Tiana, the gentle soul who had come to adore Derek as a father, watched silently as the woman she knew began to drift away, her vibrant spirit dimmed by secrets and sorrow. As the weeks turned into months, the Martin home became a battleground of quiet desolation. The echoes of laughter and shared memories were replaced by hollow silences and unresolved questions. The weight of betrayal pressed heavily on Derek's shoulders, and though he attempted to move forward, the pain of the past clung to him like a shadow. Realizing that his personal life and professional legacy were inextricably linked, Derek resolved to protect the very work he had dedicated his life to. He assembled a formidable legal and financial team to investigate the internal breaches at Martin Structural Design. With meticulous care, he uncovered evidence that Victor Cole had systematically siphoned off proprietary designs through unauthorized access, an act of corporate espionage that threatened to upend everything Derek had built. In tense board meetings and in courtrooms filled with hushed whispers and probing questions, Derek presented his case with a calm determination. He laid out the evidence: encrypted emails, security footage of clandestine meetings, and financial records documenting irregular transfers. His testimony was precise, every word measured to convey both the personal betrayal and the broader threat to his company's future. Elena, under mounting pressure from legal proceedings and the relentless scrutiny of the public, attempted to justify her actions as a desperate search for independence. But the cold facts could not be disputed. Federal agents eventually raided parts of Martin Structural Design, detaining Victor Cole and several accomplices on charges of corporate fraud and espionage. The scandal rocked the industry and tarnished the reputation of those who had once enjoyed unwavering trust. Outside the sterile walls of courtrooms and boardrooms, the emotional toll of betrayal was overwhelming. Derek oscillated between seething anger and numb resignation. In the quiet of his study, amid the echoes of his past achievements, he allowed himself to grieve, not just for the loss of a once-cherished marriage, but for the collapse of the dreams he had so carefully nurtured. Elena's world, too, crumbled around her. The glamorous persona she had cultivated gave way to isolation and regret. Public opinion in Northfield turned sharply against her, and even her closest colleagues began to distance themselves from the scandal. Tiana, caught in the crossfire of a family torn apart by deceit, withdrew into herself, her once lively eyes clouded with confusion and hurt. In a final act of resolve, Derek decided he could no longer remain tethered to a life of broken promises. One bitterly cold morning, with the weight of months of pain pressing down on him, he packed a small bag and left the Martin home, silently, without a dramatic farewell. His departure was a quiet severing of ties, a necessary step toward reclaiming his identity and his future. The divorce proceedings unfolded with a clinical efficiency that belied the emotional storm beneath the surface. As Derek finalized the legal dissolution of his marriage, he also set in motion a plan to rebuild both his personal life and his professional empire. Determined to prove that betrayal would not define him, he threw himself into his work. His new bridge design, a marvel of engineering that promised to revolutionize earthquake-resistant construction, became a symbol of resilience and hope. Derek also sought solace in unexpected connections. At a business conference in a bustling city, he met Olivia Grant, a warm and candid entrepreneur in her early 40s with a passion for sustainable innovation. Their friendship, initially founded on mutual respect and shared vision, slowly blossomed into a gentle romance. Olivia's steady support and unwavering optimism helped Derek begin to heal the deep wounds of his past. At home, Tiana struggled to reconcile the loss of the family she had known with the uncertainty of the future. Yet, in the midst of the chaos, she found strength in her father's example, a quiet determination to rise above the pain and forge a new identity. Together, they began to rebuild the shattered fragments of their lives, one measured step at a time. Months turned into a season of tentative hope. With the divorce finalized and the corporate scandal gradually receding from public view, Derek emerged as a transformed leader. Martin Structural Design rebounded spectacularly, its reputation restored by independent audits and the brilliance of Derek's new projects. The revolutionary bridge, built with precision and infused with the lessons of his hardship, became a beacon for communities in seismic zones, symbolizing both innovation and resilience. In his personal life, Derek embraced the possibilities of renewal. Olivia's steady companionship and genuine affection rekindled a spark in his heart that had long been buried under layers of betrayal. Though the scars of the past would remain, they no longer defined him. Instead, they served as a reminder that true strength comes from overcoming the darkest moments. Tiana, now blossoming into a confident young adult, found her voice in creative pursuits and leadership roles within local community organizations. The once fractured bonds of her family began to mend, not through forced reconciliation but through the shared understanding that every ending paves the way for a new beginning. Fractured Bonds, The Reckoning, is the story of Derek Martin, a man who faced the devastation of betrayal, fought fiercely for his legacy, and ultimately found the courage to rebuild a life defined by integrity and hope. Though Elena's choices and the calculated corporate espionage shattered the foundations of trust, they also ignited within Derek an unyielding determination to rise above the pain. In the aftermath of loss, Derek discovered that the path to redemption lies not in clinging to what has been broken but in forging new bonds of understanding, innovation, and compassion. With Olivia by his side and Tiana blossoming into her own, Derek's journey serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even when trust is betrayed, the seeds of renewal can take root and flourish. Dear listeners, thank you for joining me on this epic journey through heartbreak, betrayal, and ultimately, redemption. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of transformation and hope.